Shohei Ohtani's potential Dodgers future is in question now after major elbow surgery. Brandon Staley is ride or die with a coverage scheme that could kill the Chargers. And Lincoln Riley bars a reporter from covering USC, both at practice and at games. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it is September 20th, 2023. I'm in a great mood. My wife actually took a road trip. I sent her out to Dallas to see Lana Del Rey last night. So she had a great time. Hopefully I'll get rewarded later tonight. Fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. But whatever. In the meantime, if you like being in the know about LA sports, which makes us happy regardless of our private time, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And comment, because there's always interesting stuff to talk about when it comes to LA sports, like last night out at the Ravine. Max Muncy hits a walk-off base hit to lift the Dodgers to a 3-2 victory over Detroit. More importantly, Ryan Pepio is trying to build a resume to be included in the Dodgers postseason rotation. He pitched, I think it was 7 innings last night. Very good job. See if it makes a dent in the mind of Dave Roberts. Meanwhile, today, Detroit's at the Dodgers again at 7. Bobby Miller is 10-3 with a 4.02 ERA. Reese Olson, 4-7 with a 4.30 ERA. Big night in MLS. It is Galaxy game day. Minnesota's in town to play the Galaxy at 7 o'clock. The Galaxy enter tonight 6 points out of the final playoff spot with 7 matches left in the season. Meanwhile, very important for LAFC as well, they are in St. Louis. They'll play at 5:30. LAFC is 6 points behind Western Conference leading St. Louis. Big matches for both teams tonight. It's going to be a good time in front of the TV. Now, let's be real. Many of us are already looking ahead to Dodgers baseball next season. Are you guilty of it? I am, right? Been guilty of it all year. Last offseason, after the Dodgers let go a ton of talent, it wasn't just Justin Turner, it was Trey Turner. It was not just hitting, it was pitching. They let a lot of people go. And the thought process last year was, well, they're obviously lowering payroll so that they can get under the salary tax. Not true. They still were over the luxury tax limit, but whatever. But they're trying to save money, we were all thinking, in an effort to build up a war chest to present to Shohei Ohtani, the double threat star, the generational talent that was over with the Angels. Pitches very well, damn sure hits like a first ballot Hall of Famer. We were all thinking that, I would believe. And then he blasted out his elbow. Tried to get through it, but winds up having major reconstructive elbow surgery yesterday for the second time in his career. This is according to his agent. He was diagnosed with a torn ulnar collateral ligament about a month ago to his throwing arm. The dude tried to get it out, but now tumbleweeds are rolling in front of his locker over in Anaheim. He's not even there anymore. Craziness. They basically repaired the elbow ligament. It's his second major elbow reconstruction. He did have Tommy John surgery back in 2018. But here's something interesting. They're not calling it Tommy John surgery this time. Not the player, not the agent, not even the surgeon. He had it again back in 2018, but what makes this odd is the timeline for recovery is literally the same as Tommy John surgery. In other words, you take a look at Bryce Harper, doesn't pitch, he's over in Philly. He has Tommy John surgery, he's swinging a bat in 6 months. But for pitching, you would have to wait 18 months. You remember Walker Buehler of the Dodgers tried to cut it down to 14. He takes the bump, he's throwing great for 2 innings, then he's like, oh my God, my arm's not recovering. Maybe this 18-month recovery thing is legit. So he shuts it down. So what am I getting at? Isn't it possible that he did have Tommy John surgery and nobody wants to admit it? Look, you can only have There is such a thing as medical privacy, right? You don't have to tell everybody your entire medical history. So if it's 6 months to recover to swing a bat, because they're saying Shohei Ohtani will be able to swing a bat by opening day, that's 6 months. A little bit more. On the other hand, he's not pitching next year at all. So, why does that matter? Because the Dodgers need pitching. Right? Would you still go over the top for this generational talent for somebody who can only DH next year? Would you? JD Martinez is the current Dodgers DH. He only signed a 1-year contract. So yeah, there would be theoretically an opening for a Dodger DH next year. Ohtani hit an AL leading 44 home runs. The guy hasn't played in 11 days. He still has a .304 batting average. He's 4th in the American League in hitting. And he hasn't played, and he's not going to play for the rest of the year. And yes, he is still probably the number one. I don't see any argument. He's probably the number one free agent out there, even if he's not the dual threat he was with Anaheim. But the Dodgers need pitching. They do. Would you pay over $500 million, $500 million, for a guy who can't also pitch? Would you? You would, yeah, you'd have this great lineup, but would you? Your pitching still has holes across the board. Now, I will grant you the Dodgers youth movement has provided dividends. Michael Grove, by the way, has 1 week to make a pitch. And yes, I hate myself for making that pun. To join the Dodgers postseason staff. He was originally placed on the 15-day injured list in early August. He hasn't been out with the Dodgers since. Dave Roberts says that Grove is actually fine and will have a quote-unquote up-down today, unquote. Whatever the hell an up-down is. The idea is to have him back with the team over the weekend. He will have just 1 week to show that he belongs on a postseason roster. But again, remember all the holes in the Dodgers rotation. Ohtani can't fill that yet. Just saying. Austin Eckler of the Chargers said his injured ankle is day-to-day, week-to-week. To which I say, thanks for telling us nothing on top of nothing. The Athletic also is reporting that defensive back Asante Samuel's time at the star position, which is a special position in their defensive structure, it's like a hybrid of nickelback and linebacker, is over. They're not going to use him there after just 1 game. Jasir Taylor will take over the position. This is according to Brandon Staley. But speaking of Staley, we've been talking about the mistakes the Chargers have been making so far in the 2 games of the regular season. Yes, a lot of people are trying to get rid of him or trying to urge Chargers management to get rid of him. This week, I will be breaking down his defensive scheme on this week's episode of Friday Night Chalk Talk. But I want to give you a taste of what we're going to talk about. Staley likes to run something called Cover 6. Now, for those of you who've never heard of Cover 6, it is a hybrid coverage scheme for the defensive backfield. If this is the line of scrimmage, you literally divide the field in half like this. One half is going to play cover 2. The other half plays cover 4. Cover 2 would basically be 2 safeties in the back, but if you split it in half, it's 1 safety going back. Cover 4 is 4 safeties playing off the line of scrimmage. So basically you would have 1 over here and you would have 2 safeties over here. The responsibility, the idea behind it is to prevent big plays, so-called explosive plays. The problem with that coverage is that it's extremely complex. And your cornerbacks, your safeties, they have to be in communication with each other a lot in order for it to work. It confuses a lot of people, and I think it might be confusing the Chargers secondary. Staley has called cover 6 on 12 pass plays this year. This is according to True Media. Opponents have benefited. Remember, I said this is designed to limit explosive plays. There have been 12 pass plays under cover 6. There have been explosive plays on 7 of them, including 3 plays that went for at least 35 yards. Blown coverage. Is it possible that the Chargers defensive backs do not either have the communication skills or the intellect to recognize what cover 6 is supposed to be. Staley told The Athletic there is no problem with the messaging. And what does that mean? He is ride or die with cover 6. I hate to say this, I love watching Trojans football, but Lincoln Riley is playing with fire now, and it has nothing to do with the employment status of defensive coordinator Alex Grinch. The USC football program has revoked the press pass for Orange County Register reporter Luca Evans for 2 weeks. Evans allegedly broke USC's policy to not report on anything outside of media availability at the practice facility. Okay? So here's what happened. Quentin Joyner and Braylon Shelby were conversing about how they were nervous to speak to reporters. Evans included that in an article, kind of to try to humanize the subject of a feature article. In other words, just two guys talking on the side of the road. Evans did not expose a game plan. He did not give secret access to injury reports. It was nothing that was relevant to anything that USC was doing. It wasn't them clowning coaches. It wasn't, oh, we think Coach Prime sucks and we're going to kill Colorado. Nope, it was none of that. It was talking about being human, being nervous. So what did the guys do? Officials took his press pass away. For that. For that? Yeah, for that. USC officials said they had a problem with Evans because he was also interviewing players after press conferences had concluded and asking questions in sites on campus that are not designated for media availability. Look, guys, I got to be real with you. I love clowning the press. You've seen this program long enough to know that I love talking crap about bad sports writing, right? If I were still a reporter, I would be asking questions after a press conference. It's my damn job. If a player, and by the way, if I was talking with a player and the player's like, man, I just finished practice. There's an AM PM across the street. Could you walk with me? I'll keep talking to you about whatever. I would do that too. Now look, Lincoln Riley is a brilliant tactician. Again, I love clowning the scribes, but I have a problem with this. I really have a problem with this. The Southern California News Group, which runs 11 newspapers, wrote USC. They demanded the reporter get his press back, and USC said no. This is a problem for the Trojans on 2 levels, and it is an actual problem. 1, reporters are tribal. They matter in the Associated Press poll, which, by the way, is the gateway to get into the college football playoff. It is not a good idea to get on the reporter's bad side when it is something minor. It is minor. The reporter didn't release anything behind closed doors about the USC program, the game plan, the injuries, no trash talking. Straight and simple. 2, when I was a young man working for the San Bernardino Sun, the then Los Angeles Raiders tried to bar a reporter from covering the team. Now, the NFL is extremely media conscious. News organizations then from across SoCal told the NFL that they would boycott covering Raiders games until the scribe was reinstated. Now, I forget who the reporter was, by the way. I just know that Al Davis didn't like him. I can tell you he didn't write for the Sun. I asked my editor at the time if the Sun would participate in a boycott, and he said, quote, absolutely, you do not get to dictate which reporters you want, unquote. And the press, by the way, won that fight because the NFL is media conscious. Now, I don't know if the scribes would consider a USC boycott. And to be clear, I just want to be clear. Unless there is something that we do not know about, Riley and the Trojans stepped over a line. As much as I love Trojans football, you do not get to dictate what goes into other people's newspapers. If it was a game plan, I would get it. If it was an injury report that they wanted to keep private, medical information's private, totally get that too. 2 guys just randomly talking about how they how they didn't want to talk to the press because they were nervous. That's nothing, guys. USC is in the wrong. Amidst all the wasted hot air over landing James Harden, there was another trade involving the Clippers that has disintegrated. And the player supposedly on his way to LA, who was supposedly on his way to LA, is not happy about it. The Boston Globe is reporting that Malcolm Brogdon, the reigning NBA Sixth Man of the Year, has not had, quote, productive dialogue, unquote, with the Celtics since trade talks with the Clippers fell apart. It allegedly went poof because the Clippers had concerns over Brogdon's health. Now, what was the trade for? I have no idea. Galaxy center back Jalen Neal's rookie year in MLS is probably over. He underwent sports hernia surgery yesterday. Now, it's a curious thing, though. It is curious. His original diagnosis was not a sports hernia. Now, at some point, I hope we get a reasonable rationale for the discrepancy. The reason I say that Neal's season is probably over is because the timetable for recovery from a sports hernia surgery could be as little as 6 weeks. Should the Galaxy get past the wild card round of the MLS Cup playoffs, that's 6 weeks, guys. Now, having said that, the Galaxy have a tall order. There's a reason that they are tied for allowing the most goals in the season in MLS. They've allowed 45. If Neal is out for the rest of the season, that would make literally 5 players, 5, out for the year due to season-ending surgeries. Chicharito and Gaston Brugman don't play on the back line. They're gone for the rest of the season. But the other 2 are on defense. Center back Martin Caceres, right back Lucas Caligari, and now Neal. 3 on the back line, gone due to injury. Again, unless Neal recovers quickly. There is a guy who claims to be an NFL insider for something called The Score named Jordan Schultz. He is claiming several teams have reached out to the Rams, not the other way around, a reach around, if you will, about Cam Akers. I am skeptical. Multiple reporters have referred to Schultz's insider articles as fertilizer, so I don't buy it just yet. Sorry, guys. The headline in the LA Times made me laugh out loud. Who is playing quarterback for Utah? Chip Kelly at UCLA want to know. Now look, not that I'm a big fan of the Utes, but I'm guessing they're saying the same damn thing back. Right? Hey, who's playing for you guys? Right? All things being equal, Cam Rising would have already been playing for Utah. You might recall he tore an anterior cruciate ligament in his knee at the Rose Bowl. He missed the 3 games, the regular season so far this year as well as a result. Utah coach Kyle Whittingham said Rising has been practicing this week, but this is going to be a game day decision. If Rising can't go, then it's probably redshirt freshman Nate Johnson, who replaced season opening starter Bryson Barnes. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Pretty busy day, don't you think? Talk to me about Shohei Ohtani and if he should still come to the Dodgers. Tell me if the Chargers will die under cover 6. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Quien Cuatro El Queso production. Take care.